High speed results in highway deaths. TIPNG calls for individuals to stand up against corruption. And Education Secretary says project fees deferred.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Sunday's news. Corruption is becoming systematic and Transparency International PNG has encouraged every individual to play a part in fighting it. TIPNG Chairman Lawrence Stevens says public sectors need to be transparent in their work and access to information made easy for people.
Cases of corruption have been widespread in PNG's public service and institutions, and calls have been made for individuals to take responsibility and report corrupt practices. TIPNG Chairman Lawrence Stevens says all systems of government play an important role in the fight against corruption.
Our court system, our police system, our parliamentary system, all our systems, but the most important part of the system is us, the people. We all have roles and we can all make a huge difference.
He says the court system plays an important role.
With the courts, we need to see people, if they're charged, processed. If they're processed, the process shouldn't take many years. It should, as much as possible, be handled very quickly so that the community can see that justice has been served and a person charged has been looked at very carefully.
Mr. Stevens said this when launching the 2015 Corruption Perception Index last week, in which PNG maintained its position 139 out of 168 countries for 4 years. When asked if politicians implicated for corrupt deals and mismanagement of public funds still holding public office heads to the poor performance of the country's CPI, this is what he had to say.
I can't tell you for definitely that it does add to the problem, but I would imagine that people observing would be convinced that if leaders don't step aside when there are serious investigations being taken, it could add to a poor perception of Papua New Guinea.
Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
2 people are dead and 4 injured after the vehicle they were traveling in crashed yesterday along the Magi Highway in the Central Province. It is understood that the Toyota double-cab Land Cruiser was traveling at high speed when it crashed. Alcohol was blamed for the accident.
This was the scene of the accident along the Magi Highway at Manugoro village in the Central Province. Thin line on the roadside are vehicle parts and belongings of the victims, while the vehicle itself lies in a ditch, stripped of its parts and completely damaged. The vehicle was hired by a group of friends from Whitaker Hire Cars for a weekend outing along the highway. Hire car operator Rex Kunju was at the scene this afternoon to inspect his vehicle. He says it is unfortunate that this has to happen.
La car accident lo em like checking na kamba tem ora something all rosin finish so no compla something inside this levy em bin kam last day na night mas all get all something all been rosin.
According to the locals, the accident happened around 11 o'clock yesterday morning. They say the driver was trying to maneuver the sharp bend when he lost control. A man and a woman died instantly, while the other 4 are in critical condition at the Port Moresby General Hospital. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
To help reduce the risk of women dying of cervical cancer, NCD Governor Powers Parkop committed 300,000 kina to a number of health facilities to assist them in carrying out awareness and prevention of the deadly disease. Hundreds walked with Governor Parkop around Boroko and Port Moresby yesterday to raise awareness on cervical cancer.
Parkop announced at the Walk for Cervical Cancer that he would commit 100,000 kina to help in fighting cervical cancer in the nation's capital.
The check today is going to name the supplier of this 3 equipment to enable Lost Road Well Women Clinic to have the capacity to do the testing.
Governor Pakop also pledged 200,000 kina to the HPV vaccination of girls between the age of 9 and 13. The HPV vaccination will be carried out on March by the Rotary Club in the nation's capital. Pakop said that the mass of people turning up to walk for awareness of cervical cancer shows that they are fed up with the statistics of women dying.
We won't accept it anymore. We know it's preventable death. These mothers don't have to die if we have the early detection or vaccination.
In a year, almost 1,000 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer. However, more than half do not survive.
An estimated 1,500 women die every year of cervical cancer in this country. An estimated the disease accounts for 20% of all deaths due to cancer and occurs at a rate of about 24 cases per 100,000 of our female population.
Cancer Foundation and other organizations are pushing to have more screening equipment in PNG to reduce the numbers. Adelaide Sirox Kari, National EMTV News.
You're with Sunday's news. Zika virus outbreak reaches Pacific and sperm whales wash the shores. Stories when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. All schools around the country are warned not to charge and collect project fees. Education Department Secretary Dr. Uka Kombra says the implementation of project fees will be deferred until the National Executive Council meets and approves it. He made this announcement this afternoon. Quinton Alomp reports.
The 11th hour announcement was made for all schools not to collect project fees, despite a paid announcement in one of the dailies last Friday instructing schools to collect project fees. The acting secretary this afternoon retracted the announcement. Dr. Kombra says the collection of project fees must be put on hold until the National Executive Council meets and deliberates on it.
I would like to now announce at this press conference that the implementation of project fee collections will be deferred until the National Executive Council meets to deliberate on the policy and gives us a direction on what to take from there.
He says some schools have misunderstood the purpose of the tuition fee-free policy, and as a result, they are charging parents school fees and project fees to enroll their children. The department has received reports that some schools have charged over 400 kina in project fees.
There are schools across the country, including NCD, where one school is collecting over 500 kina or 400 kina. There are a number of schools in Leh that have also come out in the media to collect over 400 kina. One or two schools are also collecting boarding fees. And this all has implications with the overall government's policy to have education as free.
The announcement on the deferral of project fees comes just 24 hours before the 2016 academic year begins. Until a NEC decision is made, no school is to charge and collect any project fee. But if some school already collected project fee, the department advises them to hold these funds until the NEC's decision. Meanwhile, all schools are encouraged to start enrollment tomorrow.
I'd like to also ask once again the inspectors to use this information that will come out in the Secretary Circular tomorrow to inform all schools in their own individual inspectorates that this decision on the deferment of project fees is complied with.
Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Defence Force Council has announced new changes to its various Defence Force heads. For its missions overseas, the outgoing Chief of Staff, Colonel Mark Goyner, will be the new PNGDF attaché to Canberra. Colonel Walter Mautu will be the attaché to India. Colonel Dominic Bulangol will be the attaché to Jakarta. Jakarta, and Lieutenant Colonel John Giragira will be the new defense advisor to New Zealand, while Raymond Numa will be the new PNGDF Chief of Staff. Defense Intelligence will be headed by Eddie Yodu, and Lieutenant Colonel Fred Kayoka will be the new Acting Chief of Planning. Defense Minister Dr. Fabian Pock urged these officers to work together to bring the force to a new level this year. According to Australian virologists, the mosquito-borne Zika virus infection has reached Australia through travellers returning from South America. However, for the virus to spread, it would need the right species of mosquitoes to act as a vector. So far, only one such mosquito is present in Australia, which is found only in far North Queensland. Meanwhile, Pacific Islanders are on high alert to manage the situation.
In May 2015, the Pan American Health Organization issued an alert on the first confirmed case of Zika virus infection in Brazil. According to World Health Organization, the spread of the mosquito-borne disease had gone from a mild threat to one of alarming proportions.
The Zika virus was first isolated in 1947 from a monkey in the Sika forest of Uganda. Its historical home has been in a narrow equatorial belt stretching across Africa and into equatorial Asia. For decades, the disease transmitted by the Aedes genus of mosquito slumbered, affecting mainly monkeys. In humans, Zika occasionally caused a mild disease of low concern. In 2007, Zika expanded its geographical range to cause the first documented outbreak in the Pacific Islands, in the Federated States of Micronesia. From 2013 to 2014, 4 additional Pacific Island nations documented Zika outbreaks.
There is no vaccine or treatment for Zika, which is like dengue and causes mild fever, rash, and red eyes. An estimated 80% of people infected have no symptoms. In the Oceania region, the New Zealand government is under fire for its response to the virus. A travel warning was posted during the week for pregnant women thinking of going to the Pacific Islands. In New Zealand, doctors say it is unlikely for the virus to spread, as it's simply too cold for the mosquito to survive. Meanwhile, in Vanuatu, health authorities are stepping up surveillance for cases of the virus.
In French Polynesia, the Zika outbreak was associated with neurological complications at a time when the virus was co-circulating with dengue. This was a unique feature, but it was difficult to interpret. The situation today is dramatically different. Last year, the virus was detected in the Americas, where it is now spreading explosively. As of today, cases have been reported in 23 countries and territories in the region. The level of alarm is extremely high. Arrival of the virus in some places has been associated with a steep increase in the birth of babies with abnormally small heads, and in cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome.
So far, Samoa is the only Pacific nation listed as having a travel warning for the virus. Lorraine Gabina, EMTV World News.
The carcasses of 3 sperm whales that washed up on England's east coast were taken to landfill sites in an overnight operation. A team of 15 people removed the 30-ton animals in an operation that ended early on Thursday morning, the 28th of January. A pod of up to 6 whales had been spotted close to the eastern shoreline the previous Friday in the North Sea. So far, the cause of the deaths is unknown, although there have been several previous examples of confused sperm whales breaching in the shallow waters of the North Sea. You're watching Sunday's news. We'll have all the action in Trukai Sports after this short break. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The 2016 Softball National Championships will be staged in Port Moresby during the Easter period. The championship will attract various softball associations from around the country and will be used to identify new talent in the code.
As the Port Moresby men's softball competition bats into the third round of competition, city softball fans are looking forward to the Softball National Championships to be held here in Port Moresby.
Yeah, the National Championship is basically facilitated by the Softball Federation. It's going to be held in Port Moresby. We've got new diamonds, 2 diamonds here, but there's going to be another 2 arranged for the games. There's a lot of interest. We've got teams coming in from other centers. The sports for that weekend will be really great, you know.
With the new facilities Port Moresby has to offer from the Pacific Games last year, the National Championships will be held on a pitch-perfect venue in the nation's capital.
Yes, we are. Port Moresby Association will have 2 teams as usual in the men's. We've got a good lot of players here. A couple of them are in the PNG side, so you know we're looking forward to a very good match.
In the last 2 weeks of competition since the pre-season, competition in the Port Moresby Men's Softball Association is about to get heated up as teams settle into the 2016 season. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
The PNG Barramundis will play Ireland in round 3 of the ICC Intercontinental Cup. Ireland is looking to regain the top spot in the competition. All they need is a draw with the lead in the first innings to get back on top. The Barramundis, however, are looking to spoil any chances the Irish may have. Should the Barras win, they will earn a 4-position promotion on the tournament table. The Lae City Dwellers sit comfortably on top of the Northern Conference. They beat Besta United FC 3-0 at the Sir Ignatius Kalage Stadium yesterday. Goals to Raymond Gunemba in the 33rd minute, Michael Foster in the 55th minute, and Nigel Gabinyava in the 69th minute. In the second game, Wellgrease Morobe FC beat Medang FC 2-0 after a goal from Alex Kamen in the 15th minute and Elude Fugre in the 81st minute.
Lae City Dwellers are comfortably ahead after beating Besta FC yesterday 3-0. Goals to Raymond Gunemba in the 33rd minute, Michael Foster in the 55th minute, and Nigel Gabinyava in the 69th minute ensured the victory. The fight for the second spot of the Northern Conference continues. Medang FC lost to Wellgrease Morobe United yesterday 2-0. Wellgrease secured victory, reducing Medang FC's chances for the golden spot second place. Alex Kamen and Elude Fugre were the heroes yesterday afternoon. Kamen in the 15th minute and Fugre in the 81st minute. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV Sports, Lae.
Former Hunters forward Kato Otio has been named in the Canberra Raiders final squad for the Auckland Nines tournament, which kicks off next month. Another Papua New Guinean named to play in the Auckland Nines is Rod Griffin, who will line up with the West Tigers.
The Auckland Nines is one of the biggest tournament NRL clubs compete in annually before each season begins. The biggest names in the NRL compete in the tournament as preparation for the coming season. Coming through the Hunters program last year, Kato Otio has impressed Canberra Raiders coaches and management in his performance with the SP-PNG Hunters in the Intrust Super Cup. Otio was then given the opportunity to be a part of the Raiders off-season trials late last year, and now has been named in the final squad for the annual Auckland Nines competition. Rod Griffin, who played in the Intrust Super Cup last year, but with the 2015 champions, the Townsville Blackhawks, will also be lining up in the Auckland Nines with the West Tigers. The Auckland Nines is a 2-day tournament which begins on the 6th and ends on the 7th of February at Eden Park. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
Angelique Kerber upset world number 1 Serena Williams to win the Australian Open yesterday. Kerber became the first German to win a Grand Slam title since her childhood idol, Steffi Graf, in 1999.
World number 1 Serena Williams was defeated 6-4, 3-6, 6-4 by German Angelique Kerber in the women's final of the Australian Open. The 7th-seeded 28-year-old Kerber was not overawed by the occasion of her first ever Grand Slam final, playing superb defensive tennis against the powerful Williams, scrambling to force her to play an extra shot that ultimately contributed to 23 unforced errors from the American in the first set. Williams sent the match into a decider when Kerber hit an easy forehand into the net to clinch the second set. Both players suffered early breaks in the third set, but the championship appeared to have tipped in the Germans' favor in a marathon 6th game, which finally converted to a 5th breakpoint to take a 4-2 lead. She extended that to a 5-2 and was serving for the title at 5-3 before Williams fought back, though the inspired German was able to clinch her first ever Grand Slam and then collapsed to the court in jubilation.
My whole life I was working really hard, and now I'm here and I can say I'm a Grand Slam champion, so it sounds really crazy and unbelievable.
Tonight in the men's final, Novak Djokovic is expecting a fierce battle with an old friend when he makes bid for history in the Australian Open against Andy Murray.
This is exactly where you want to be. You work hard to put yourself in this position, and of course, adding to that the fact that I am able to make history is of course just an additional encouragement and incentive for me to do well.
Born a week apart 28 years ago, Djokovic and Murray have contested 3 finals at the Melbourne Park, with the Serbian emerging triumphant on each occasion. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
That wraps up Chukai Sports. Up next, here with the details.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, cloudy with occasional showers and thunderstorms for Port Moresby, showers for Daru, cloudy with possible showers for Kerema, chances of brief showers for Alatau, and mostly fine tonight with showers tomorrow for Popondetta. Before we go, recapping our main headlines again. High speed results in highway deaths. TIPNG calls for individuals to stand up against corruption. And Education Secretary says project fees deferred. That's the news, sports and weather for Sunday, January 31st, 2016. From the entire National NTV News team, I'm Hope Imaka. Pleasant viewing. Good night.